The stars looked peaceful, but peace in space was always a lie. Patrol fleets of the Xeric Empire drifted across the border systems, their warships built to intimidate and dominate. The commanders sat inside their control rooms, speaking with arrogance. To them, the galaxy was theirs. Nothing challenged them. Nothing dared. For years, rumors had spread about Earth, a small blue planet in an isolated arm of the galaxy. The Xeric laughed at the idea that humans could ever rise to power. Humans were seen as weak, fragile, and unimportant. Some alien traders told stories of human stubbornness, their strange ability to survive when logic said they should not. But commanders dismissed these stories. They said it was nonsense. On this night, the Xeric fleet watched their sensors. Nothing unusual. Nothing dangerous. The ships floated calmly in the dark void, waiting for the next patrol signal. Then the silence broke. A blip appeared on the long-range scanner. At first, the officers thought it was a drifting asteroid or maybe a pirate craft straying too close. But more signals appeared. 5, 10, 20. Soon the scanner was filled with movement. The officer in charge narrowed his eyes. "Unknown vessels," he muttered. "No identification codes." The comms team tried to send signals. No answer. The strange fleet gave no response. It just moved forward slowly, like hunters stalking prey. The Xeric commander smirked. Humans. It must be them. Finally, they crawl out of their hole. The fleet gathered in formation, confident and proud. To them, this was nothing but a show. They believed humans would beg, maybe ask for peace, maybe even surrender before a fight began. No one in the galaxy thought humanity could fight at this scale. They were newcomers to space. Their colonies were young. Their weapons should have been primitive. But the ships that appeared from the darkness were not primitive. The first clear visuals came through the observation screens. Sharp black hulls built like blades. No glowing banners, no flashy symbols like other empires loved to paint on their ships. The human war fleet was silent, shadow black, built to disappear into the dark. Their engines glowed faintly, but they carried no sound, no signal. The Xeric officers stared, unsettled. "Why do they not answer us?" one asked. "Perhaps their translators are broken," another laughed. The commander shook his head. Something about the silence felt wrong. This was not a diplomatic visit. The humans did not come with flags or ambassadors. They came like predators. The ships continued forward. Not too fast, not too slow, perfectly measured, as if every move had been planned long ago. Inside the alien fleet, tension grew. Orders were shouted. Activate shields. Prepare weapons. Show them who controls this region. Still, the humans did not fire. Not yet. They only drew closer, their fleet growing larger with every scan. First 50 ships, then 100. The Xeric realized this was not a small force. This was an armada. Fear began to whisper through the command decks. Why would humans gather so many ships? How did they even build so many without the galaxy noticing? "Commander," an officer said carefully, "we should call for reinforcements." The commander glared. "Reinforcements against humans? Are you afraid of apes?" But deep down, even he felt it. The silence of the human fleet was heavier than any weapon. There were no speeches, no threats, no negotiations. Only the cold arrival of steel in the dark. As the minutes passed, the humans took formation. Their ships spread out, surrounding the Xeric border patrol like wolves circling prey. The Xeric ships charged their plasma cannons, confident they could burn the humans with a single volley. Weapons locked. Targeting systems aimed. The alien crew smiled. But the humans still did not move. They waited, patient, like hunters testing the nerves of their prey. Finally, the Xeric commander grew tired of the game. "Open a channel," he shouted. His voice boomed across the comms. "This is Xeric territory. Identify yourselves or be destroyed." The comms officer stared at his screen. "Sir, there is no reply." "Then fire a warning shot." The first beam of energy cut through the dark. It streaked past the lead human ship, missing on purpose, a show of dominance. The Xeric laughed at their own display. But their laughter died quickly. The human ship did not flinch. It did not retreat. Instead, its hull shifted. Panels opened. Weapons revealed themselves like teeth from a hidden jaw. The alien bridge went silent. Every officer felt a cold chill. "They are not running," whispered one. "They are preparing," said another. The commander's mouth went dry. Suddenly, he understood. This was not a mistake, not a chance encounter. The humans had come with purpose. For years, the galaxy mocked Earth. For years, humans were called weak. But now, staring at the war fleet before them, the Zarek realized the truth. Humanity had been preparing in silence. They had built weapons in the shadows. They had waited for this moment. The commander's voice cracked. "Ready all ships. Do not underestimate them." But it was too late. The first human warship powered its cannons, the glow burning brighter than a star. The rest followed. Every ship aimed every weapon alive. In that instant, the Zarek fleet understood something they never wanted to believe. The humans had arrived. And they had come to strike first. The Zarek commander had fought many battles. He had seen rebellions crushed, pirates erased, and rival empires humbled under the strength of his fleet. To him, war was a performance. Show power, frighten the enemy, and they would surrender. He believed humans would do the same. He leaned back in his command chair, his confidence returning. "They are bluffing," he said loudly so every officer would hear. "Their ships look dangerous, but they are still humans. Weak bodies, weak minds. Their weapons cannot harm us." The crew nodded, though their eyes betrayed unease. The human fleet had not spoken a single word. No threats, no pleas, just that terrifying silence. "Signal every ship," the commander ordered. "Form the diamond wall. If they fire, we crush them instantly." Across the Zarek patrol, warships shifted into position. Shields flared. Weapons pulsed with energy. The formation was perfect, the kind drilled into them for years. From the outside, it looked unstoppable. But the humans did not move. Instead, they continued their slow advance, refusing to acknowledge the prey's defenses. Their black hulls gleamed in the starlight, each one carrying the weight of something unknown. The Zarek could not tell how many weapons each ship had. They could not even scan their power cores properly. The human ships blocked most signals, as if wrapped in shadows. A junior officer spoke nervously. "Sir, our scanners cannot identify their technology. The readings keep shifting. It is as if the ships are hiding their true output." The commander waved it off. "Tricks. They want us confused. Do not be fooled. Their weakness will show once we fire." On the alien homeworlds, news of the human fleet had already begun to spread. Broadcast towers carried whispers of a massive force moving through border space. But most citizens laughed. They said humans were reckless. They said the Zarek commander would erase them in minutes. On the command deck, however, laughter felt far away. The humans began to separate into groups, spreading like wings. One cluster moved high, another low, others to the flanks. The Zarek fleet adjusted, tracking them. The commander smirked again. "They are splitting apart. Fools. They will be easier to destroy this way." But the officers saw something different. The human ships were not scattering in fear. They were moving with purpose, with discipline. Every shift in their formation was precise. Each ship knew its role. The Zarek commander gave the order. "Fire!" A storm of plasma cannons and missile volleys streaked through the void, all aimed at the lead human ships. Explosions blossomed across the darkness. The command deck erupted in cheers. "They are finished!" shouted one officer. But when the fire cleared, the cheers died. The human ships were still there, untouched. The weapons had missed, or worse, passed through empty space as if the humans had moved before the attack even began. How is that possible?" stammered a Zarek gunner. "Our targeting systems were perfect." The commander slammed his clawed hand against the chair. "It must be interference. Adjust and fire again." Another volley. Another storm of plasma. Once again, the humans slipped aside, their ships moving faster than alien sensors could track. The black hulls wove between explosions with frightening grace. It was like watching predators dance through fire. Panic spread through the alien bridge. Officers shouted over one another. "Their engines are too fast. We cannot lock on. They are inside the formation." And it was true. The humans had closed the distance. They were now among the Xeric ships, weaving through the diamond wall as if it were made of glass. Suddenly, one of the human ships lit up. Its side panels shifted open, revealing sleek rail cannons. With a single shot, a Xeric destroyer exploded into a burning cloud. The crew gasped. One ship destroyed in a blink. Another human ship fired beams of energy so sharp they cut through shields like paper. A Xeric cruiser split apart, its pieces spinning into the void. The alien commander's confidence cracked. "Impossible," he whispered. "How can they strike so fast?" The truth was clear, but no one wanted to admit it. Humanity had studied them. Humanity had prepared. While the Xeric mocked, humans built weapons no one understood. They struck with speed beyond logic, precision beyond machines. The commander shouted in desperation, "Do not break formation! Overwhelm them with numbers!" But his fleet no longer listened. Pilots screamed as human fire tore their ships apart. The diamond wall shattered, broken into chaos. The once proud formation dissolved into scattered wreckage. On the human ships, still no voice came. No transmission, no threats, only silence. The silence of predators who did not need to roar. One by one, the Xeric ships began to fall. The commander watched the battlefield through trembling hands. His mighty war fleet, his pride, was being erased before his eyes. He tried to send a signal for reinforcements, but the comms officer looked pale. "Sir, we cannot send. They are jamming us." The commander froze. Jamming. The humans not only struck with impossible weapons, they also cut off every escape. For the first time in his life, the commander felt something new. Not pride, not arrogance, not anger. Fear. And then he saw it through the observation window. The largest of the human ships moving closer. Its hull covered in shadows, its weapons glowing with deadly light. "They are not weak," he whispered. "They are predators." The void burned with wreckage. Fragments of Xeric warships drifted like broken bones across the Black Sea. Fires glowed in the distance, oxygen leaking from torn hulls, bodies swallowed by silence. Still, the battle had only begun. In the heart of the chaos, the humans moved with terrifying calm. Their ships glided between explosions like sharks through blood. No shouting, no visible panic. The silence of their war fleet was more dreadful than any war cry. On the Xeric command ship, officers struggled to regain control. "Hold the line," shouted one. "Focus all fire on their largest vessel." The commander leaned forward, sweat dripping down his scaled skin. His mind screamed at him to retreat, but pride chained him in place. He had mocked humans too often. If he fled now, he would be remembered as the coward who lost to apes. "Target their flagship," he roared. "Crush it, and the rest will break." Every Xeric cannon locked onto the massive human ship at the center of the fleet. A storm of plasma erupted, streaking across the void. The commander held his breath, waiting for the human flagship to shatter. But the beams struck and vanished. The energy dissipated against an invisible barrier, rippling like water. Not a scratch remained on the human ship's surface. "What is this?" cried an officer. "Our strongest weapons did nothing." The commander's mouth went dry. Shields. Yes, but not like any the Xeric had seen before. These defenses absorbed power, turning destruction into harmless light. Then came the reply. The human flagship's hull opened like a steel flower. From its dark panels emerged long-barreled cannons that glowed with a terrible brilliance. The silence broke, not with words, but with fire. The first strike was blinding. A single rail round cut across space, moving faster than thought. It struck a Xeric cruiser. The ship split in two, its pieces scattering like toys smashed against stone. Before the shock faded, a second shot ripped through another vessel. And another. The cannons fired with impossible speed. Each blast precise, each target destroyed in one blow. "Impossible!" screamed the gunners. They reload too fast. The Zarek had never seen weapons like these. Rail systems that fired not once per minute, but once per second. Each round accelerated to speeds their sensors could barely track. To fight against such firepower was not war. It was slaughter. And the slaughter spread. From the flanks, smaller human ships unleashed swarms of guided projectiles. They moved with strange intelligence, weaving through defenses, slipping past shields, drilling into hulls. Every impact tore apart engines and reactors, leaving Zarek vessels crippled before they could even respond. On the command deck, panic boiled into screams. Officers abandoned discipline, shouting over each other. "We cannot win. Retreat. They are everywhere." But retreat was impossible. The humans had already encircled them. Every escape corridor was cut off. The commander's claws dug into the armrests of his chair. His vision blurred as ship after ship vanished from the sensors. The war fleet he had trusted, the fleet he believed invincible, was collapsing in minutes. Then he saw it. Through the observation window, a smaller Zarek destroyer tried to ram a human frigate. Desperation over strategy. The alien ship ignited its engines, burning at maximum thrust. It slammed forward with all its weight. But the human frigate did not move. It simply rotated, calm and precise. At the last second, a blade-like weapon extended from its side. The Zarek destroyer collided, then split apart, torn down its spine like paper ripped in two. The commander froze. These humans had built weapons not only to fight, but to humiliate. Every move said the same truth: "We are beyond you." Suddenly, the human flagship lit again. This time, its forward cannons unleashed a beam wide as a city. It swept across the formation, erasing 3 Zarek ships at once. The explosion bloomed like a false sunrise in the void. For the Zarek crew, time slowed. The fire reflected in their eyes, the shock waves shaking their bones. And through the glow, the humans advanced still, silent, cold, unstoppable. One officer broke down, collapsing to the floor. "They are not fighting us," he cried. "They are exterminating us." The word stabbed deeper than any weapon. Extermination. That was what this looked like. Not war, but a cleansing. The commander finally spoke in a whisper, though no one listened. "This cannot be real. This cannot be real." But reality burned outside. One by one, Zarek ships died. Signals disappeared. The proud diamond formation had become dust. Only a few vessels remained, trembling in the shadow of the human fleet. And still, the humans sent no message. No declaration of war, no demand for surrender. Only the first strike and the silence that followed. The Zarek patrol fleet no longer existed. Where once hundreds of ships guarded the border, now only debris floated in the void. Burning hulls drifted slowly, pieces of metal glowing red as they spun into endless night. The silence after the destruction was louder than any scream. And that silence carried far. News spread faster than light. Traders carried rumors. Spies carried fragments of data. Entire empires soon whispered the same words: the humans struck first. And the enemy never had a chance. On the council world of the Veyron Dominion, ministers sat in tall towers of crystal. They laughed at first. "It is impossible," one said. "No primitive species can destroy a Zarek fleet." But even as they spoke, holographic images arrived. Wreckage fields. Desperate signals cut short. Black ships moving like shadows. The laughter died. In the taverns of the free colonies, smugglers traded stories with wide eyes. "I saw it," one whispered. They fired before the Zarek even locked weapons. The ships just vanished. Not destroyed slowly. Vanished. Another leaned closer. They jammed every signal. No one escaped. No one. The listeners fell silent, fear seeping into their drinks. In the military halls of rival empires, admirals studied the battle records. The data made no sense. Human weapons fired faster than any known system. Their ships blocked scans, bent light, and moved as if they predicted every attack. No empire had ever built technology like this in so little time. Some admirals whispered the unthinkable. Perhaps humans had not developed these weapons alone. Perhaps something older, darker had given them the knowledge. But no proof came. Only silence from Earth. Back on the ruined battlefield, human salvage ships began their quiet work. They moved among the wreckage, gathering data, collecting resources. Not a single broadcast escaped them. Survivors from the Xeric side, if any remained, were never seen again. The Xeric government tried to control the panic. They released statements claiming victory, claiming the humans had been defeated at the border. But the truth leaked out anyway. Entire colonies received fragments of the human attack, black ships erasing proud war vessels in seconds. The lie collapsed. Inside Xeric palaces, leaders raged at one another. "We underestimated them," shouted one general. "You told us they were weak," snarled another. Fear twisted into anger, anger into blame. Yet beneath their words, the truth gnawed. Their empire had been humbled in minutes. And no one knew how many human fleets still waited in the dark. Far beyond Xeric space, on neutral planets, the fear grew sharper. The galaxy had always mocked Earth as a child among giants. But now whispers filled the markets. If humans can destroy Xeric, who can stop them? Merchants hesitated to trade near human colonies. Alliances debated sending ambassadors, but no one dared send fleets. No one wanted to be the next example. Across the stars, a new phrase was born, spoken in hushed voices, the silent fleet. Children whispered it as a warning. Soldiers muttered it before sleep. Even the proudest empires avoided speaking of it too loudly. And yet, humanity said nothing. Weeks passed. No speeches, no demands. Earth made no claim to territory, no announcement of war. The humans returned to their space, leaving behind only fear. That silence was worse than open conquest. The galaxy could not predict them. Were the humans planning another strike? Would they erase another fleet tomorrow? No one knew. On the council world of the Ka Union, leaders argued for hours. "We must prepare alliances," one said. "We must show strength," said another. But one old admiral shook his head. "Strength means nothing. Did you not see? The Xeric were strong. The humans are something else." His words froze the room. Even the great empires that had crushed civilizations for centuries now hesitated. They remembered every insult, every time they had called humans weak. They remembered how many border colonies they had stolen from Earth in the past. Now they wondered, would humans strike back for those humiliations? Would the predators come for them next? The galaxy had always believed in hierarchy. Some species ruled, others obeyed. But the humans had broken that law in a single battle. They had not climbed slowly. They had leapt past the old powers, past centuries of balance, and they had done it without a word. Back on Earth, the people were quiet, too. Their leaders did not boast. Their admirals gave no interviews. The war fleet remained in orbit, hidden, waiting. Even human citizens did not know how many ships existed or how many battles had been prepared. To outsiders, this silence felt like the calm before a storm. And perhaps it was. In the farthest reaches of the galaxy, pirates, smugglers, and rebels all told the same story to frighten one another. The humans do not warn. The humans do not talk. The humans arrive, and then you are gone. And somewhere in the black between stars, the human fleet moved again. No announcements, no lights, only shadows gliding across endless night. The galaxy held its breath. Weeks had passed since the silent fleet erased the Xeric patrol. Yet no one knew what Earth wanted. Empires waited for a declaration of war, for demands, for ultimatums. None came. That silence was its own kind of weapon. It gnawed at rulers in their palaces, at admirals in their war rooms, at merchants in their markets. The Xeric Empire trembled. Whole colonies whispered rebellion. Soldiers who once mocked humans now feared their shadows. Their leaders, desperate to appear strong, sent scouts toward Earth. None returned. On the outer rim, smuggler captains swore they had seen black human ships slipping past their lanes. They described the same thing: no lights, no sound, no transmission. Just the feeling of being watched by predators before they vanished again. And then it happened. On the neutral world of Terralise Prime, a broadcast erupted across every channel, every frequency, every system. Civilian screens flickered. Military consoles froze. Even ancient networks on forgotten colonies carried the same message. The galaxy turned its eyes to a single signal. A human face appeared. Not a soldier in armor. Not a politician in robes. Just a plain, ordinary man. His eyes were steady, his voice calm. No threats, no shouts, just words carried like steel across the stars. "You mock us as weak," the man said. "You treat our world as prey. You steal our colonies, call us fragile, call us slow. You thought we would bow." The galaxy listened in silence. For centuries, humanity endured in silence. We watched. We learned. And while you looked away, we built. We prepared. You believed us harmless. You were wrong. His face leaned closer, eyes sharp. "We do not come to conquer. We do not come to enslave. But we will never be prey. When you strike us, we strike back. When you threaten us, we end the threat. We struck first because you left us no choice. Survival demanded it." The words echoed in every chamber, every hall. Rulers shifted nervously on their thrones. Soldiers froze at their posts. Civilians whispered the same question. If they struck Zarak, who will they strike next? The man's expression hardened. "Understand this. We are not asking for your approval. We are not asking for peace. We are not asking at all. We are humanity, and we will survive." The broadcast ended. No further explanation. No list of demands. No terms of surrender. Just a message carved into the galaxy's memory. On Zarak worlds, panic grew. Colonies rioted, demanding protection, but their leaders had no answer. If a fleet that large could be destroyed in minutes, what chance did they have? In rival empires, fear twisted into calculation. Some leaders considered alliances with Earth. Others considered strikes to crush them before they grew stronger. But no one dared move, not after what they had seen. Even mercenaries and pirates, once fearless, whispered new rules among themselves. Do not raid near human space. Do not touch human colonies. Do not provoke the silent fleet. And so, humanity's silence became law. The broadcast ended, but its echo never faded. Across the galaxy, empires that had once laughed at humanity now sat in fearful silence. The Zarak Empire, humiliated and broken, withdrew from every border they had once dominated. Their fleets retreated to their home worlds. Their colonies, once stolen from weaker species, were quietly abandoned. No one celebrated. No one dared. On Earth, the people returned to their lives. Factories continued building ships that most citizens would never see. Admirals continued planning for wars that had not yet been named. But the silence that had protected humanity for centuries remained unbroken. The man in the broadcast was never identified. Some said he was a general. Others said he was simply a voice chosen by the council. A few whispered that he was no one at all, just a face the galaxy needed to see. Whatever the truth, his words became a warning carved into the memory of every species. We are humanity, and we will survive. In the months that followed, the Zarak Empire collapsed. Not from human invasion, Earth never sent another fleet. Not from rebellion, though many tried. The empire collapsed because fear had infected it from within. Its leaders turned on each other. Its soldiers deserted. Its citizens fled. The mighty power that had once mocked the small blue planet simply ceased. And humanity said nothing. Other empires sent diplomats to Earth, seeking alliances, trade agreements, promises of protection. Earth accepted their gifts, signed their treaties, and said very little. The humans were polite, but distant. They offered nothing, demanded nothing, threatened nothing. That was what frightened the galaxy most. Not cruelty. Not conquest. Indifference. The humans did not care if the galaxy feared them. They did not care if the galaxy loved them. They only cared about one thing: being left alone. Years passed. The Silent Fleet never launched another attack. It remained in orbit around Earth, hidden in the dark between stars, waiting. No one knew how many ships there were. No one knew what new weapons had been built. No one wanted to find out. On the neutral world of Terralis Prime, where the broadcast had first appeared, a small monument was erected. Not to humanity. To the silence. The inscription read, "They did not warn us. They did not boast. They simply arrived." And the galaxy learned that some predators do not roar. The monument was visited by many. Ambassadors came to study it. Historians came to write about it. Children came to whisper the old warning, "Do not provoke the silent fleet." Back on Earth, the man from the broadcast, if he had ever existed, was never seen again. Some said he had retired to a quiet village. Others said he had returned to the fleet. A few said he had never been real at all, just a projection, a ghost, a story the galaxy needed to hear. But on certain nights, when the stars were bright and the wind was still, old soldiers would look up at the sky and remember the day the silence broke. They would remember the black ships moving like shadows, the rail cannons firing faster than thought, the enemy fleet vanishing like smoke. And they would smile. Not because they were proud. Because they were safe. The silent fleet had not come to conquer. It had come to make a single promise: touch us, and you will not survive to regret it. The galaxy had heard. The galaxy had listened. The galaxy would never forget. And somewhere in the dark between stars, the human fleet moved again, silent, unseen, waiting. Not for war. For the next lesson. The Xeric Empire collapsed within a year. Not from human invasion. Earth never sent another fleet. Not from rebellion, though many tried. The Empire collapsed because fear had infected it from within. Its leaders turned on each other. Its soldiers deserted. Its citizens fled. The mighty power that had once mocked the small blue planet simply ceased to exist. And humanity said nothing. Other empires sent diplomats to Earth, seeking alliances, trade agreements, promises of protection. Earth accepted their gifts, signed their treaties, and offered little in return. The humans were polite but distant. They demanded nothing, threatened nothing. That was what frightened the galaxy most. Not cruelty. Not conquest. Indifference. Years passed. The silent fleet never launched another attack. It remained in orbit around Earth, hidden in the dark between stars, waiting. No one knew how many ships there were. No one knew what new weapons had been built. No one wanted to find out. On the neutral world of Terralise Prime, where the broadcast had first appeared, a small monument was erected. Not to humanity. To the silence. The inscription read, "They did not warn us. They did not boast. They simply arrived." And the galaxy learned that some predators do not roar. Children came to whisper the old warning, "Do not provoke the silent fleet." Back on Earth, life continued. The people returned to their routines, their families, their quiet hopes. Most never knew the full extent of what their fleet had done. They only knew that, for the first time in centuries, no alien power threatened their borders. The man from the broadcast was never seen again. Some said he had retired to a quiet village. Others said he had returned to the fleet. A few said he had never been real at all, just a projection, a ghost, a story the galaxy needed to hear. But on certain nights, when the stars were bright and the wind was still, old soldiers would look up at the sky and remember the day the silence broke. They would remember the black ships moving like shadows, the rail cannons firing faster than thought, the enemy fleet vanishing like smoke. They would smile. Not because they were proud. Because they were safe. The silent fleet had not come to conquer. It had come to make a single promise: touch us, and you will not survive to regret it. The galaxy had heard. The galaxy had listened. The galaxy would never forget. And somewhere in the dark between stars, the human fleet moved again, silent, unseen, waiting. Not for war. For the next lesson. The silence was their weapon. The silence was their shield. The silence was their answer. And it was enough.